Hereby call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Killable Hills Board of Commissioners. Thank you all for being here. Great to see all the scouts here in the audience. Let's get this started with the Pledge of Allegiance. First, my apologies for coming a little bit late. For these guys running in. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. We usually like to start our meeting with a moment of silence. A lot of the news lately, and a lot of folks out there suffering and having a tough time of it, so keep all those folks in your thoughts with me. I'll take a few moments. Thank you so much. Welcome. Good to see you guys. We have an agenda before you. That's the time to take a peek at it. Have any thoughts? Otherwise, we're looking for a motion.
I would move that we approve the amended agenda that includes the introductions and presentation edition as presented.
All right, perfect. We have a motion on the floor.
Second.
I have dual seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. We have an agenda. First item on the agenda is a public hearing. I will turn things over to our attorney here, Mr. Cornell.
As the mayor said, there is a public hearing tonight. The following rules of procedure are going to apply to this hearing. A public notice of this hearing was published in the newspaper and posted on the town bulletin boards in accordance with the statutory requirements for this subject matter. A copy of this public notice has been filed with the town clerk for entry into the official record of the hearing. The town clerk is going to be recording all oral comments that will be recorded in a concise and brief manner. Written statements shall be recorded in a similar manner and made part of the record of the hearing, but also need to be submitted in full to the town clerk. If you're speaking tonight, please limit your comments to matters relevant to the issue and to a time period of 3 minutes. A 5-minute exception will be made if there's a spokesperson for a group, or if your statement is submitted in writing to the town clerk. All speakers must come to the microphone so that your statement can be recorded. There will be no debates during the public hearing, and if you come forward, identify yourself by giving your name and address. So now the public hearing is coming to order, and the hearing is called for the purpose of the Killable Hills Board of Commissioners to consider the following. Chapter 150, Building Regulations, in order to incorporate mandated amendments from new General Statutes, Chapter 160D. And there is nobody signed up, so I'll call from the audience. Would anybody like to speak? All right. Turn to the board.
Appreciate the public's opportunity to speak on this, but we know it's some pretty dry stuff. This is updating things from state statutes, and we've gone over at previous meetings for those of you who've been following along. So at this point, I think everything's pretty tightened up. We were just looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the amended Chapter 150 building regulations as presented, as it is consistent with state law.
And I'll second.
Excellent. We have a motion and a second. All right. Do I hear any further discussion? All right. Hearing none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Mr. Varnell. At this point in our meeting, we do this twice every meeting for those of you who don't hang out here all the time. We have public comment at the beginning, and we also have a public comment at the end. We love to hear from the public anytime you have any thoughts on anything. Same sort of rules apply, 3 minutes for a person, 5 for a group. Identify yourself, but any subject, and we'd love to hear from you. So, anybody sign up?
No, sir.
But anybody in the audience like to speak? This is your first of 2 chances in this meeting. All right, hearing nobody move towards the microphone there, we will close the public comment section there. Now into the most exciting part of the evening, probably. I see a bunch of scouts in the audience, and we're going to hear about the Eagle Project. Yeah, if you'd step to the microphone, that'd be great.
Back that way.
There you go. Sorry.
I just want to start by saying I'm really nervous, so bear with me.
This is Damien Gregory, by the way, from PAC 116.
Yes, my name is Damian Gregory. I'm from Boy Scout Troop 116, and I've recently done my Eagle Scout project. That much you know. I'm a rising senior at First Flight High School, but tonight I'm here to represent my troop. So, what is Eagle Rank? I'm sure most of you know it's a very prestigious award. The reason it's so prestigious is because you have to plan and then carry out a community benefiting project. This is extremely difficult when you have no experience whatsoever in the field. My rank in the troop is Senior Patrol Leader. If you know anything about Boy Scouts, you know it is boy-led. Senior Patrol Leader is basically the top ranking usually, not always, but usually top ranking boy. You basically lead, you plan, you just lead. There's not really much other words for it, but yeah, basically I lead, I plan, and the adults, my Scoutmaster, Mr. Blair Sieferman, and Mr. Mike Orway are here tonight. They are the leaders. They make the plans happen. They are there to make sure we don't cut our arms off. They make sure we stay safe. They make sure we don't do anything stupid, which is usually pretty avoidable, but we have interesting scouts in the crowd, so that makes their job a little bit difficult, but nonetheless, we are very appreciative towards them. Now, how the project was brought to my attention. There's a very fine gentleman, Mr. John Winley, among the town tonight, who brought this project to my Scoutmaster, Mr. Blair Sieferman's attention. Mr. Blair told me about it, and I thought it was amazing. This was for one of two reasons. One of the reasons is we have an Eagle Scout who did his project 4 years ago, maybe 3, I think it's 4. 3 years ago, sorry. And he did a very similar project. This is more of a continuation, a legacy to his project. And I thought that was really cool because most Eagle Scout projects, they just build a picnic table or a bench or something like that. It's basically just a one and done though with whoever they're building it for. It could be a church, it could be anyone, but we usually never revisit them. We usually never do anything else for them. So I thought coming back and, having a legacy of a project for the troop was a really neat idea. And I really hope that if the town has anything else with this, I hope they will approach us again, because they already have about an inventory of the receptacles along the beach, and I plan on making that happen. Not part of my project, but just as a continuation of the idea. The project, it was putting cigarette butt receptacles on the beach where they had already been, but they've been out there for about 3 years, so they've already got some real wear and tear to them. So we made 20 receptacles, and that would not have been possible without the help of some very important people. I had about 6 scouts from my troop, all of which are present tonight. And I had about 5 members of the CAC who were a big help guiding the boys when I couldn't. If I was, looking over something else or just elsewhere, they were a big help, and I really appreciate them being there. Actually making the receptacles was pretty simple. All you really had to do was glue the top 2 components together, where the receptacles where the cigarettes went in, and then you glue that to the main PVC pipe. And you leave the cap unglued, obviously, to unscrew it and get the trash later on. The way we did this is we painted the main body and the caps separately, because you don't want to get any paint in the threads or else they would not seal correctly, and that's a big deal, obviously. So we just put blue painter's tape around the threads of the cap and painted them. Also, the receptacles, the main body of it stood up a lot easier if you didn't have the cap on the bottom. It stood up a lot more flat. So it was a lot easier to paint that way in general, so I'm really happy we did that. And that's really all I have. I want to reiterate one more time how thankful I am for the opportunity to help the troop. I had a couple of choices for my project, but what better way is there to help the community than helping the town, because in my eyes, the town pretty much is the community, what the community needs most. So I'm really thankful for the opportunity, and I hope you've got any more projects that you want to accomplish. I hope you reach out to us. Thank you.
Great job.
Well, I'm not sure you knew, but I too am an Eagle Scout, and I played the role of patrol leader, senior patrol leader, in a number of troops, both here and overseas. My dad was in the Army, and it was a great experience, and leadership practice at this age really comes in handy later on. You never know where you might end up. People keep asking you to take leadership roles if you don't watch out. So I have a certificate here for you. We'll come up here and take a photo in a second. Let me read it to you. It says, "The Town of Killable Hills Board of Commissioners expresses its sincere appreciation for the volunteerism and support of our community and recognizes the outstanding accomplishment of Damian Gregory in developing his Eagle Scout project in partnership with the Community Appearance Commission and the town staff." And the date here. So a little quote from Aristotle as well. If you'll come up here, we'll get a quick photo. I think this should be a pass. Over here. Over here. Get the nice plaque in the background here.
The paparazzi.
Sure, we can make them stand if you want.
Please do.
One for the mom.
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations. We're really stoked that you did this for us, and we quickly hand that to you. We appreciate it very much. Pass through there for skinny people. All right. Next item on the agenda is old business. I don't believe we have any old business
No,
to
sir.
come back to, so we'll move on to new business. We are taking one of many looks at the budget. This hopefully will be the last pass at it. This is the 2021-22 budget ordinance and consolidated fee schedule for the town of Killable Hills.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Town manager, Ms. Diaz.
The, Section A basically explains some of the changes that was made. The board had the budget work session on May the 6th. You had your public hearing the 14th. The Board of Commissioners did agree to increasing the COLA from 2.6 to 3.6, which we thank you very much. In between the budget being presented to you and these different meetings, we did get our final workers' comp expense premium amounts, so we're able to make those adjustments for each department, and we thank you as well for that. It's an increase in the total budget, including water fund, general fund, and wastewater fund of $119,295. As we've stated before, obviously there was no increase in the ad valorem rate. And this would also include the consolidated fee schedule, which had no changes. Item B refers back to each of the capital ordinances, some amendments, amended for various reasons, some simply because they had expired time-wise. You have your capital reserve ordinance for the purpose of nourishing approximately 2.6 miles of oceanfront beaches. The capital reserve ordinance for the purpose of development of recreation facilities. Reserve ordinance for the purpose of construction of and improvements to shoreline accesses, and then beach nourishment capital project ordinance. One motion can be made to cover all of the necessary budget actions. We'd recommend to the board that they adopt the budget ordinance and the consolidated fee schedule for fiscal year 21-22 as amended, and that's detailed in item 1A. And further, the Board of Commissioners adopt the 4 capital ordinances detailed in item 1B above as presented.
Excellent.
So moved.
Well, I didn't even have to ask. We have a motion. I'll second that. We have a second. It's been a long process up to this point. A lot of you might have not been around for the other, but we've had many meetings about the budget and workshops earlier in the spring, and we've been really impressed with all the work the staff has done. It's been a complicated and challenging year, this year and last. been very hard to predict what revenues and costs are going to be in this era, and hopefully we're coming to a sunnier period for the town and for everyone. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion about the motion?
Just other than to state the fact that, as you said, what an excellent job staff has done. But it goes even further, I think, to the employees of the town. You know, we've looked at the monthly reports that show that we're getting more work done with the same amount of people, and our staff is just, they're really working very hard and efficient in making it happen. And this is a good way to say thank you. So.
Right, yeah, I'd like to add one thing. I'd like to thank Mayor Pro Tem Ivy for bringing up the second look at the COLA during our workshop. And we studied it, looked at it. Commissioner Gray helped kind of push that forward as well, and I'm really happy we were able to adopt 3.6%. Thank you.
Yeah, great points. Yeah, it's always good to see those things moving down the pike. For translation from a bunch of letters, COLA is for cost of living increase, and so we're basically talking about giving a little bit more money to the staff in terms of salaries. So we're very pleased to be able to do that, and we're looking forward to a big year with Beach Nourishment next year to make everything safer for us in the long term. I'll reiterate what my fellow board members have said. We're really pleased with all the hard work that went into it. We're excited about the year to come and all the opportunities and things we're going to be able to accomplish in the next fiscal year, which starts July 1. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a budget for
Thank you, sir.
21-22.
We look forward to implementing your budget. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
Thank you again. All right, the next item on our new business is Oceanfront Shoreline Access. The memo came from Ms. Diaz, but I believe Cameron, are you gonna?
Cameron's our man.
Cameron,
Yes.
he's doing a lot of hard work in this area.
I have,
This references some suggestions that came from citizens a few meetings ago.
that's right. As you recall, at the past public forum, we had a citizen come forward to discuss a request for oceanfront access seating at our beach accesses. So wanted to compile some information for ordinances and regulations that are associated with this, and also what some staff concerns and how we've been looking at our accesses and maintaining them in the past. So first, we reached out to CAMA with the Elizabeth City office to discuss how it applies with our Coastal Area Management Act regulations. Generally, they do allow for these for open decks. If that's what you want to call it, this was more seating specifically, but they do allow for open decks, which could be incorporated into some kind of seating. It's important to note with their regulations, this exception in this area of environmental concern of our oceanfront, the intent of that is to get people over the dune system without having an effect on the integrity and not really getting people to the beach. So that's why that exception's there in the regulations, but they do allow for certain things like small covered decks, open decks, and elevated walkways. And looking at our shoreline access plan that was updated in 2019, what that outlined was existing improvements, possible improvements, maintenance, funding, and management. Access seating did not come out of this as a recommendation from the board or from staff. And one thing to note is when you're looking at our Ocean Beach Shoreline section of the Shoreline Access Plan, there's a policy in there that says pedestrian walkways elevated above the dunes on pilings safeguard the dune and facilities and facilitate the beach visitors' travel between their automobiles and the beach. So as this plan was first enacted or put into place in the late 90s, I believe, or early 2000s, that was one of the policies and goals, was to get people from our beach accesses onto the beach without harming our dune system. You have some other regulations that come into play: building code and zoning code, and flood damage prevention. This is the high hazard zone for your flood zones. Structures are not insurable in this area, and it's where we often see our damage on the ocean front. So they have to be designed to withstand the forces of larger waves and accelerated erosion. So there's a there's a large amount of design and infrastructure that has to go in on the construction of these. Zoning, you have setbacks for these structures, and then the building code also is going to address these for things for accessibility, for handrails, and then also structural design, which would be an engineered or architect designed structure. And several of these concerns that I've outlined in this memo, I'll just go through those real quick. And that, like I've said before, beach accesses have been developed with the intent of accessing the public beach, in a manner that does not affect the integrity of the dune system. The intent has not been to provide seating along the dune, nor has it been identified in board discussion about shoreline access plan. Current maintenance of the existing facilities is already a large task for the Building and Grounds Department, and this would increase cost and time. Damage during storms and natural erosion along the oceanfront, similar to stairs that Building and Grounds has to repair and replace frequently, currently going on at Glenmere and Prospect. This development type is costly to meet all the requirements of the regulations that are in place. Potential damage to dunes, especially in the construction side. Hardening of the natural function of dune. Proliferation of this type of development by private citizens on the dune system could change the appearance of the natural dune system town-wide. Then you have the beach nourishment area. This is from the north end of town to Windsong Way. This engineered beach does not allow for this, as the dunes are engineered and cannot be hardened. And benches at existing accesses already achieve a similar use. Staff recommends the town continue to maintain the existing town beach accesses with the intent of providing access to the ocean front while affecting the dune system minimally. Accessibility of these facilities is a priority of the town and should be continued for compliance with the ADA. Town staff has identified needs on beach accesses in the past and continue to implement when possible. Large seating areas have not been pursued as a potential improvement in the past. However, with no objection from the board, we will keep the idea open as a potential access improvement in the future should an opportunity present itself. We do have seating at many of our accesses. For example, one that is fairly recently been made accessible is Prospect. When you get to the top of Prospect's beach accesses, there's benches been incorporated into the open deck. And that was done in conjunction of making that facility accessible. We've got benches at Martin Street. You know, we have them scattered around as we do rebuild them. But it was a little bit different of what the idea that came from our citizen. But I'd be happy to discuss it any further or answer any questions about regulations. But it's already a big task for all the beach accesses that we have, so.
One quick question.
Yes.
Sorry. Do we by chance, just because we have a large group here tonight, the picture that the citizen provides for us at the public forum, just so people could visualize what we're discussing?
I don't think we do.
No, we don't.
Brought mine with me. Yeah.
It was, I mean, to best explain it, was kind of like amphitheater style seating off of your stair going onto the dune.
It's like big platforms, maybe 2 feet
Yeah,
and a drop.
yeah.
Roman staircase.
Roman, yeah, like a Roman
And-
theater.
And like I was talking about with building code, regulations, it's likely that wouldn't really be an option to begin with. We have handrails and guardrails in all of our beach access facilities because that's a large liability to the town, especially and it needs to meet building code as well, so.
It's such a dynamic zone. I really love the idea that the citizen brought forward because you could really imagine yourself sitting there in that picture that he drew. But when you look at the 20 or so beach accesses, you can see the ones built long ago are no longer elevated. Sometimes the dune grows up around them, and sometimes the dune moves away and it's very high up. So you wouldn't want to have an area with no handrail when that dynamic area started to change. So it's a kind of a design you would imagine maybe in a city around a pond or something like that where everything is really static, but kind of harder to imagine it working in a really dynamic environment. That said, I'm really open to creative redesign when it comes to upgrading these beach accesses as we go forward. I've said numerous times for really decades now that I'd like to push a little bit more of our resources towards maintenance and upkeep as well as improving the beach accesses. It's a big point where all of our visitors and nearly all of our residents, are interacting with infrastructure that's built and maintained by the town, and there's plenty of room for improvement there in lighting and landscaping, and certainly in handrails and caps and new designs. The newest beach access improvements are gorgeous. We're very proud of them. When you look at it at the totality, there's plenty of room for scooping up at the bottom end of the maintenance list, as it were. We're working on the worst roads, always fixing those and adding in sidewalks, and this is working in parallel with all of those other capital improvement goals that we have in long-term planning documents. I don't want to take up all the air in the room, so any other comments or thoughts from the board members about the presentation or the proposal from before? We're basically, staff is just looking for guidance, kind of the long term, when I think about it. And there's some discretionary money in the maintenance. We know we've added another personnel, another position that hopefully can help with maintenance things that we're going to do in the off season in the fall. But I'd really like, as we look into next fiscal year, the 2022-23 budget, that hopefully we can push that up the priority list a little bit.
I liked the citizens, the idea a lot. It's created a pretty productive conversation around it, but that specific idea, we can see here from staff's recommendation, there's a lot of hurdles. But the last sentence gives me, makes me feel pretty good about it. We can still look for unique ways to expand seating at our beach accesses, because one of the ideas that really spurred this was a lot of people, they have a lunch break every day, or it's a beautiful day, they just want to spend outside. They want to go sit and just enjoy some time on the beach without getting down and dirty in the sand. Could we have more places for people to sit at a beach access without having to go down and get your feet sandy? So expanding seating and finding creative ways to do it kind of was how this conversation started. So it looks like while this specific idea is challenging, we may be able to find some creative ways to do it in the future.
I really like that citizens are thinking about it and thinking of ways that these community assets can be improved and made more enjoyable. We have a ton of parks and a ton of places that we maintain and use and develop and redevelop. But certainly the beach accesses probably have the highest number of users when it comes to people walking across those things every day.
And I think we had discussed this at the time, and maybe this could be where we meet in the middle on this, maybe on the next project, but we had talked about doing just a countertop, like a standing area, so maybe like the next one, we could try to incorporate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to see if that's utilized, and maybe.
We've talked about this with B&G, and they're already spending on great ideas for things. When they go and replace top caps, they can replace that top cap with a wider surface.
Like a 2x8 or 2x10.
And possibly do some sort of, benches for portions. So they'll
okay.
be on it and come up with something to incorporate it with not a large cost to the town. So.
Right, yeah, I think we're all on board to encourage a little bit of budget for them to do some projects like that.
If you could just have a little more surface, maybe that's your way you stand and eat lunch.
And it's just so site specific too.
Right.
Every beach access is different. From 3rd Street, the right of way is smaller. You've got a 4x4 access and a walkover. Everywhere is so different, but where we can, we will certainly incorporate it, into future rebuilds and repairs.
Super.
I like that we're moving in that direction, for sure, but I don't like that we're kind of saying no to this. I feel like it's somewhat short-sighted to not continue to think outside the box. I really like the design plan. I think that we are in need of something in this town, something special. I don't think we have anything real special in this town that's unique. And I'd really like to see something like this. This would be a perfect example of something that's unique and would be sort of I think it would be something different than the other towns have, okay? So, I think it's a great idea to be able to get down to the beach or to sit there and look at the beach. When you don't own an oceanfront home, you can't pull your car up to the ocean, which is, almost every spot, even the 1 or 2 spots that you could kind of pull up your car and eat your lunch and look at the ocean, those have kind of been shut down, if you know what I'm talking about, on the oceanfront. So, there's very few restaurants on the oceanfront.
there's just nothing like that, and I think that, you know, to be honest, I really like his plan. I'd like to see something, I'd like to see us continue to think outside the box and continue to try to get something special on our oceanfront here. I think it would be well used by the citizens, I really do. I really think it would be unique, and I think I don't think it would be damaging in such a way. I mean, I know there's protection of the dunes, I do understand that, trust me, but we have a number of accesses, we have new homes being built, we have things being built oceanfront all the time. So I would prefer to see, you know, this type of thing go forward. But, you know, I mean, so I was discouraged to see that, you know, some of these things are not possible or maybe not desired, but I for one would like to continue with the plan that you put forward. Maybe not as designed, but I think it would be especially unique and everybody in town would benefit from it, yeah, I do.
Right, yeah, circling back to my thought about the dynamic zone, that's not true of every access. Some accesses are very stable, some are evolving really
Yeah, we're just
quickly.
to put this at one zone, one spot, I mean, we're not talking about 10 of these, just one of these. You know, one of these spots would be excellent.
Yeah, I think
People would love it,
the community,
especially.
the residents in particular, I think, are very proud of the fact that we have so many beach accesses when some other municipalities do not. It's a big asset. These are, you know, $1 million lots, and we're very proud to have them. And
But there's no reason to stop.
right, there's lots of room for improvement.
Yeah.
Back in the day, there were a lot of them that were undeveloped completely. They were just a drive over. I think we still have a few more places we could make them more accessible, like he mentioned, Cameron mentioned, the new development or redevelopment, it will be more ADA compliant, and in those cases too, you're looking for a place to put that wheelchair, because you're probably not going down the stairs at the end of it, just wanna have a
Well,
nice.
this plan, I think, could incorporate that too.
Sure. And they're maxed out at 500 square feet, so there's a lot of constraints, but,
Yeah, we're not talking about anything extremely large.
well, we hope that it's the beginning of a conversation, and we'll keep looking for opportunities.
Not the end, yeah.
Any other guidance y'all would like to send staff's way?
The one concern that I had more than anything was that we get more workload than staff can handle, as far as maintenance. You know, that would be my biggest concern. I'm good with what staff's talking about, looking at the opportunity to be able to incorporate this type of thing in new development. I think, as VJ has stated, I think it's an excellent idea. I think it's something that the citizens would really enjoy and love. I'm just really concerned about overworking staff as far as if we have a couple of these or one of these that goes up and we can't keep it up and can't maintain it, then we really haven't done anything. So that would be my big concern, but I think it was a great idea. Really did.
So we're seeing a lot of building going on, and that helps the tax base, and hopefully that gives us some opportunities to expand those maintenance departments so that we can keep these things in the kind of shape that we'd like to see. Any thoughts? All right. Well, great conversation. Always like dreaming of the future and looking at opportunities. Next item on the agenda is committee reports. Yes,
I want to ask Sue Kelly to talk about what we're doing at CAC.
that'd be great. This is Sue Kelly. She is the top dog at our Community Appearance Commission. I know the scouts have probably interacted with her a good bit already.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Sue Kelly. I live at 211 Sea Village Lane, and I'm up here on behalf of the Community Appearance Commission. There are a couple of members of the commission here. I would like to ask them to stand up, please. This is Christine Damrose-Malman, and this is Joe Williams. Joe happens to be our newest person. And John Winley, our Commissioner Liaison, which we couldn't really do what we do without him, and everyone on the commission. It's a great group to work with, and I really enjoy it. I'm sure you can tell from the speech that Damien gave that this was a fun group of people to work with. These scouts just really jumped in, and they put the whole thing together without a single glitch. They just knew what they were doing, they followed instructions, and they put together these 20 things for our beach accesses. and it was a great experience. It was a great opportunity working with them, and I thank Damien and his fellow scouts for their assistance and their work. Also need to say a little something about Billy Dorn, who got us all the pieces and cut them up and did everything so that nobody had to work with power tools, which we were happy about, although I really wouldn't have worried with these young men. But anyway, it was a great opportunity, a great experience, and we look forward to working with them some more in the future. Great opportunity, and John was a very big part of spearheading this whole thing. He really brought the CAC and the Scouts together for this project, so thank you, John. We are thinking about how to do some more work on our tree project, which is all about trying to have our town conserve and plant as many of our beautiful live oaks as possible. So we're ongoing that on our agenda. I brought some of our butt holders, which we still have a bunch of, and we give these away free. And for people who smoke, which thankfully are harder and harder to find, they can put this in their pocket and they can put their butts in it safely until they find a place like one of the beach access butt containers to put those old butts in. So please, if you know anyone who smokes or would use these, please take some. I have some more if you need them, because we still have plenty of these, and this is an ongoing project. And at this point, I should say something about Chief Troy, because he's a key member of our Keep Butt Subcommittee, and he's been extremely helpful for all our work on the CAC. Tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. in this room is our regularly scheduled monthly meeting of the CAC. We welcome people to come. It's an open meeting. We'd be glad to have you come and share any ideas you have about the work of the Community Appearance Commission. And I think the last thing that I want to mention is that at the end of the year, we will be announcing our Appearance Awards. And every 2 years, we give an award to the most attractive business. We include the churches in that, but it is a commercial business or church, the most attractive one in the town. And then we have a second category for the most improved appearance of a business or church. And then the last one is the most attractive. Those two relate to standalone buildings, by the way, standalone businesses. And then the third one relates to the most attractive business that's in the middle of a strip mall or a group of buildings. So those are our 3 awards. And we would welcome from the citizens any suggestions for places that we should consider for this award. The process will start soon, and then toward the end of the calendar year, we will present them to the commissioners for the award and invite all the people who got nominated to come before the board. I think that's it for me, and thank you very much for all you do and for the support that you give the CAC, because we've always been aware of the fact that this Board of Commissioners not only created us, but is very encouraging for what we do, and we appreciate it. It's a lot of fun, and we thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Keeping this place beautiful, one of our top priorities. Any other committee reports? Commissioner's agenda, I think we started down here last time. I always start down this end. Got anything for us? All right, thank you so much.
I'll need to say that we have the police chief and the fire chief here, that our first responders and fire department has done an excellent job over the past couple of days, weeks, that, they've really been there and made it count. So hats off to you guys and your personnel. You've done a great job.
You're here. Yes. Certainly a lot of kudos coming from the public from a bunch of different directions, and very challenging situations in the last little bit there. So yeah, thanks for all the hard work in those challenging.
The town manager keeps that whip on them, right?
She keeps them in shape, I'm sure. I'm sure. All right, if that's all of the commissioner's agenda, the mayor's agenda, I just had a couple of little quick items. We've got, we're quickly approaching our first flight market over at Aviation Park. That's gonna be, the first one will be happening on July 20th. That's a Tuesday. They will be from 10 to 2. We've got a bunch of vendors already signed up. I believe it's up to 18 as of today. That's awesome, right? 18 vendors, yeah. So,
We released it Monday at around 5 o'clock and
yeah, this is just in the last less than 48
about
hours.
48 hours.
So we've gotten some great support from our other towns, Manio and Nags Head, helping get the word out.
So there's 18, how many spaces left? Roughly?
We were doing 20 to 25, but we're working on some layouts to,
Yeah,
depending
hopefully
on
we're
how many
flexible.
applications we get.
Got some wiggle room.
Got some wiggle
We're
room.
gonna work the best we can.
That's super. That's gonna be so fun.
Mayor, if I may add,
Please.
the town of Nags Head was specifically beneficial to us. Their coordinator, Paige Griffin, if I got that name right?
Yes.
She actually came and met with our staff just to go over some of the, some of the things that they learned along the way, which was very helpful to us, and we certainly appreciate their time.
That's super. I'll have to reach out to her to extend the thanks of the board for her assistance there. That's great. They definitely learned a lot of the hard way, as I understood it, so
Yeah, well,
great
that's-
to share the knowledge.
I actually talked with her there on site a few Thursdays ago. I had gone to purchase some items at their farmer's market, and she said, yeah, you learn, and they wanted to share that knowledge with us, so we appreciate that.
No one likes to reinvent a wheel that you find out later.
That you don't
And
like.
she's offered to continue to help us with the layout and how to
Traffic flow.
strategically place vendors so that everybody gets good foot traffic. She's well versed in it and she's
All the
been a
things that
huge asset.
we might not anticipate she has already lived through. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
So
good.
again, kudos to the staff, Meredith, and everybody who's worked on it. I know it'll be a busy week or so, and
Pass it along to the many people that are doing that.
yes, all right. Well, we look forward to it, and I have to ask off of work, so I can be there. I hate to miss these guys. Yeah. Pesky jobs. Yeah, so that's what I've got. Next item is the town manager's
Nothing
agenda.
this evening.
Nothing
Thank you for
tonight,
adopting the
and
budget.
Thank you for that, exactly. Well, town attorney, any agenda for you, sir?
I have nothing.
We like it that way, that's usually a good thing. You have anything to talk about? Last item is the consent agenda. We've got a couple of budget amendments on there. I'll let Ms. Diaz.
Yeah, so just a couple items this evening. The first is the minutes from the June 14th, 2021. Then some budget amendments as we're finishing up the year. One to cover tipping fee expenses. Second one to cover treated water cost. Cover solid waste fuel charges. And then item D is actually a budget transfer. This is, as you recall, in your budget ordinance. The budget ordinance gives the budget officer permission to transfer from one division to the other, but with it reported back to the board at the next open meeting. What this budget transfer was for was between our police department, admin, and animal control. Some monies were transferred from the police department admin to animal control to cover vacation time for an employee that resigned. As you know from just dealing with the budget, the animal control budget has no wiggle room.
Yeah. It's
So
small
that was the reason for this. So staff recommends the consent agenda adopted as presented, and a motion would be in order.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Yeah, those items covering tipping fees, obviously it's been a big year for putting things in Bertie landfill, which means we've been busy, which hopefully means we've had some good revenue and everybody recovered well after the last spring, which was tough.
And I think that was contributed to the pandemic, but both in the amount of people that we saw in the shoulder season that was greater than what we had. And as we have discussed, people at home and having more trash at home than they typically might would have.
Right, yeah. restaurants are a little more efficient about putting less in the trash per head. When you're at home, you make a little bit more. So, and a lot of people bought a lot of new stuff this year. With that, had to get rid of the old stuff. A lot of stuff going on Marketplace too. But anyway, so we have those quick items. We have motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. We have consent agenda as well, which leads us to page 2. And one more opportunity for public comment. If anything has struck you since the first public comment that you'd like to tell us about, this is your second chance to give it to us with both barrels. No, I'm really not inviting that at all. So give us great encouragement, good ideas. Looks like we might have someone approaching the bench.
Good evening, Mayor, and members of the board. My name is Gary Brick, Chief of Police here in Carroll Hills, for those of you who don't know me. Thank you first and foremost for your continued support for the employees and everything, and all that you do for the town. Going to be a little bit out of order today because I have a presentation to make. It's a short one, but well deserved. And if I'd have put it on the agenda for a presentation, you would have known about it. So,
Surprise.
each year, the Veterans of Foreign Wars selects emergency medical technicians, law enforcement, and firefighters personnel to receive VFW Public Servant Awards. The department must select a single candidate for each of these 3 awards and submit those to VFW headquarters to be recognized. It's a national award. And the criteria for this award is as follows: recognition by their colleagues for those they serve, consistent excellence in the performance of their duties, consistent dedication to their official responsibilities over a period of years, and continuous growth in responsibilities and skills within their profession. This year, our department had the honor and privilege of nominating someone who is beyond deserving. And when I say beyond deserving, I mean he's a legend in our profession. AC, can you come up here for a second? Yes. I know you. So, someone who has spent the better part of their life serving and protecting, someone who has worked just as hard today as he did when he first started, albeit not writing tickets. He started his career in Elizabeth City in 1978 and retired with the Highway Patrol with 30 years, and has been with the Carroll Hills Police Department for 13. So, almost half a century of public servant work. And he also looks as young today as he did when he first started. So there's that. And he still is dedicated today, as I can only assume that he was when he first started. And I wouldn't want to do this job without him. So with that, it's my pleasure and honor to present this award to the Assistant Chief, Dana Harris. Thank you. His name on it, so.
No need to tell my wife. Thank y'all very much.
Wow, that's fantastic. We've got a lot of surprise awards here, right? We know about it in advance. Sneak it in there at the end. So one more chance for public comment before we close public comment. Didn't want to miss anybody there. Response to public comment, our congratulations on the award, and thanks so much for letting us be part of it. Make sure that the public knows about it as well.
I want to say something too.
Please
Real
go ahead.
fast. As a defense attorney for 17 years, I'll tell you that Dana Harris, Assistant Chief, is one of the most loved police officers that I've met, that I've known amongst attorneys, amongst judges, amongst even people that he arrests.
That's a feat.
He certainly is a professional, but just loved by everyone. And you deserve that award and many others. But I know Carroll Hills was always, really the benefit of you retiring after all those years as a state highway patrol. I think you worked making grills for a little short of a while, and then coming back here and back into the profession and benefiting Kill Devil Hills. We all appreciate it, but I promise you when I tell you, this guy, everybody loves this guy. Everybody.
Thanks very much.
Great work.
We're super fortunate. One more round of applause. Unless there's another sneaky surprise, we are looking for one last motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Thanks for doing all the good things you do.